Hey everybody, it is yet another day for spiritual healthcare. It is day 20, hard to believe, it's day 20, um, of coming together and being able to hang out with you guys and just, chat paranormal stuff, chat the spiritual side of this, and, bring some tools to the table to deal with the consequences and the emotions and, that effect that it's going to be having on our, that the current pandemic is going to be having on our reality, and how we move forward in how we're going to create our reality going forward. How do we want it to look? What are we projecting into the environment, energetic wise, that is going to create our new experience going forward? So we're going to be talking about lots of great things today. Good morning, Darren. I am awesome. I hope you're doing really good too. Lots of things to chat about today. I'm super excited about this actually because we're going to talk a little bit about the haunting side of things, but we're also going to be talking about empaths and energy and how we can keep ourselves centered during all of this crazy that's going on right now. So we're going to do a mix of different things today. I've got a great reading for you guys. I'm excited about that. Hey to everybody logging in. It's nice to see you. I've got a great process actually for you guys as well today as too that you guys can kind of play around with later, and it really impacted me last night. I had a great conversation about this with a really good friend of mine, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with you guys because it was really interesting. It made me think in a big way, so I'm super excited about being able to share that with you guys too. So good morning to everybody. I hope you guys had a great night and a great day yesterday. Say hey in the chat box. If you guys have questions or anything like that, please throw them in the chat. I don't get to all of them because they don't always don't always come up for me right away, so I always tend to go back on them and answer them the next day. So if you guys, good morning, Dawn. For those of you guys who have a question or anything like that, as I say, throw them in the chat or email me, tweet me on Twitter, whatever. I will get to them. So this is great. So we've got lots to chat about today. Morning, Jan. And starting with the idea of natural explanations for hauntings. It was a subject that Jack on Twitter wanted to cover, and I think it's a really great one. And as I say, after that, we're going to be talking about empaths and how we remain centered in our experience moving forward with everything that's going on right now. So lots to chat about. So I want to get to what Jack had wanted to bring up today, and I think it was a really good question or subject matter, and that is when a spooky spirit is not a spirit. Could it be explained by a water heater or bad plumbing, or bumps and bangs from hitting wood all day, to cooling off at night and making those ghostly sounds that TV puts into our minds? I love this question because it brings up a couple of different things. Dawn asks, have I ever read The Secret Doctrine? No, I have not read that one yet. So when we think about natural explanations for some of this phenomenon, it's one of the things we have to rule out immediately when we're doing investigations. So what are the more common things that we do rule out when we're dealing with paranormal phenomena? Jack, you've brought up some really good ones. Things like airlocks in water heaters and pipes, being able to understand the mechanics of wood expanding and contracting, making sounds change at night, and oftentimes it is because of cooling temperatures and things like that. So when we bring in when I bring in teams to help me work through this, I've got some really great people that I deal with when I deal with a client. And they're not buddies of mine necessarily. They are often my friends, but that's not why they're there. They're there because they're either engineers or photographers or audio engineers or architects or things like that, where they're lending their expertise to try to rule exactly these types of things out. So we're looking for things like high electromagnetic fields, because high EMF, especially in Alberta, this is a big thing in Alberta, and something actually now that we're kind of confined at home, we have to be a little bit more conscious about. High electromagnetic fields in the space over a long period of time of exposure, what can often happen is we end up sort of seeing things out of the corner of our eye. We get that feeling of being watched. All sorts of things that we would normally associate with hauntings can come about in a really natural way. So those are some of the things that we look out for. And yeah, we have to rule this stuff out before we end up coming to any sort of conclusion that it might be something paranormal. The thing is good morning, Dave. The thing is, with any sort of an investigation, jumping to any sort of conclusion is always a no-go, because not only does it lessen your own credibility, you're not actually helping the people you're dealing with, right? Because you want to be able to go in and say, hey, look, this is good news. We have this explanation for you, and here's the solution. Here's the fix for it. So, it is something that is really important that we have to rule out. So yeah, absolutely. There is so many aspects to ruling out this stuff and being able to understand it. So thank you, Jack. Great question. So I want to get to the next one, because the next one I think is a question a lot of people have, and it's about empaths. This question came from Jan, and I thought this was really great. I found out about 4 months ago, she says, that I'm an empath. Not only an empath, but a super sponge is more like it. I suck in all the collective energies flying around right now due to the virus and everyone's concerns and fears. Do you have any experience in dealing with empaths, and are there any techniques I can use to help protect myself from sucking all this in? I love that. Good morning, Brandy. Yeah, Jan, I love this question. Love it, because I think so many people, not just empaths, but just people in general, I think have this problem right now. I think a lot of people are looking around going, everybody's freaking out. I turn on the news and there's panic. People at the grocery stores are often, hoard buying and panic buying and things like that. And it's really hard to not look at that and sort of start to absorb it, right? We start to get stressed out. And I think this is really a time period in our history where we have to understand that this is really about being as centered as we possibly can be within ourselves. I think the more connected we are to us, the more connected we are to our inner being, to, good morning, Shadow, to our, to all that is, whatever that is for you, the easier this is going to be to remain centered and stay in our space. So a lot of the things that we've been practicing over the last number of days in the journaling work that I've been giving you guys and things like that is really, really, really key to being able to find those good feeling places whenever you start to feel yourself getting swayed a little bit. So one of the things that I definitely recommend to people is take in the amount of information that you need. So get your facts. Like we know in Canada here, we've had our Prime Minister coming on every morning and giving a short talk saying these are the up-to-date things that you guys need to know. And and then consider just backing off the media a little bit, okay? Because no matter where we go, if we turn on Facebook, what do we see, right? It's memes, and it's and some of them can be really funny. But it's memes and it's articles, and we're really getting bombarded with this stuff right now. So it's very hard to be able to just take a breath and turn that off. I recommended to you guys a little while ago about building a space in your house where you can go and just be silent and be still, be just quiet within yourself. And that is such a big deal, because as I say, we are getting bombarded by a lot of this right now. And some people might actually have people in their house that they're living with that are panicking and freaking out. So we're in a very interesting area in life right now, because our ability to center and focus on ourselves is really getting tested. by, a lot of this, just there's stress, there's chaos, and all of this going on. So empath wise, I think it's really important that we make that priority to do our inner work, to be able to sit down and go, hey, wait a minute, this is time for me. I don't create in other people's reality, because we don't do that. We can only create our reality. And deciding on what it is you want to create, being specific. What is it that you want, instead of focusing on, the fear or something like that other people are projecting? What is it that you want? How are you feeling? And getting in touch with who you are, getting in touch with what your needs are, and working on those. It's a balance right now, because we want to be able to turn around and go and share what we have. We want to be able to make sure we're donating to food banks, and make sure we're reaching out to people. And if people are upset or stressed, making sure we're reaching out to them. But there's a difference between reaching out to them from your state of connection with your cup full, and reaching out to them in a state of fear and letting them kind of drag you under. We've talked a little bit about the idea that Serenity Spot, Serena, that's a really, really great way of putting it. I love that. So yeah, the being able to come at them from a place of connection is so key, because we cannot, you guys, make ourselves worried or sick enough to help people out of their hole. We just can't do it. We have to be in our own state of connection. We have to be filled up. So that is one of the biggest things. If you're gonna go and connect with somebody who is upset or stressed, make sure you're doing it from a place of your own solid foundation, rather than reaching out and having your energy kind of pull all over the place, because that's not helping anybody, right? It's just not. The other thing is when you run into the people that are just determined to keep their energy, or keep their emotions, or keep whatever it is at that really low level, and who are fighting for their own limitations, because some people will do this. Some people will fight for their own limitations. That sometimes you have to meet people where they are and leave them there. Okay? Sometimes you just do. Sometimes you just gotta let people be where they are, and you gotta leave them there. So don't be trying to yank people out of their hole and move them to a place where they don't need to be, because honestly, they have to make that decision for themselves. Trust them enough to know that they will figure it out. They will figure it out. And sometimes this can be a really big thing with family members and things like that too, right? So we have to really be conscious of those things. This is a time period in our history where we've got so much opportunity to then lean in and find the connections that we're really looking for, to find those healing places within ourselves. And I think whenever we're dealing with somebody who is really empathetic, somebody who's tends to really put themselves in other people's shoes a lot, we kind of have to remind ourselves to put ourselves back in our shoes a little bit. As I say, being careful how much you're connecting with the disconnection, right? Because however much we're connecting with it, it's gonna start to bleed into our psyches and whatnot. So getting the bringing ourselves back to center is so important. Jan says she uses art to help me focus in a different place when I feel stressed. Does that work? If it is working for you, do that. I do that a lot as well. I'm really big into drawing. That's probably what I'm going to do this afternoon, is do some sketches and things like that. I've done quite a number of those over the years, and I love it too, Jan. It's so healing. Most of you guys know as well, I do fire arts and whatnot, and I teach fire. So I do things like like fire meditation and fire spinning and staff spinning, and I use Levy wand and fire eating and all that kind of thing. So I am a huge fan of any of that. Oh, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, and it is such a healing activity to be able to do that. Playing with your pets. Most people don't realize that meditation, for instance, people imagine it to be, you know, you got to be sitting super quiet, you know, you've got to shut your mind down. There are multiple ways to meditate, you guys. Everything from drawing, coloring is great. If you guys can download coloring pages and whatnot, you can print them off for free, and color. If you guys have crayons or colored pencils or anything like that, get out your kids' stuff. You know, if they want their stuff back, tell them to go away. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things that you guys can be doing is things like art, things like whatever it is for you that gets you there. Shadow says it's music for her. Music is a great way to do it. I know there's a number of people in my life who are composers. They love to be able to sit down, zone out, and it's usually at like weird times in the morning. It's like 3 a.m. And they will sit and they will compose, and some amazing things will come out of that. Interestingly, if you read accounts of people like Beethoven, Bach, any of those amazing composers back in the day, and composers now as well, guess what happens? They all explain about this sort of trance state that they get into, and they zone out, and they're focused. Athletes, of course, call it being in the zone. You know, and they start to feel relaxed and at peace and all of those things. So that in and of itself is a meditation too. You know, we can't get pigeonholed with this idea that, you know, we all have to look like, you know, Rafiki on his rock, because it's so much more than that. A lot of you guys are saying cleaning helps you focus. Yeah, totally, right? And the great thing about that is that you end up, you know, having this beautiful space when you're done. You feel a little bit more accomplished. Sometimes doing something that has some sort of a measuring stick is great. So for example, being able to, you know, do something like cleaning. I love props and stuff like that. As I say, working with fire is great for me because, you know, I start out not being able to do a trick, and then all of a sudden, you know, by the end of it, I either can or I'm further along. So you feel a little bit more like you've accomplished something. Good morning, Edward. So that's really cool too. So all of these things, you guys are already having great suggestions here in the chat. I love it. It's just so important. So I've got a really great reading for you guys today. That comes from Birth Through Death, which is my great-great-grandfather, one of his books. And for those of you guys who are new, Albert Durant Watson was my great-great-grandfather. He founded the first paranormal association in Canada. And he was getting together with a fellow by the name of Louis Benjamin, who was a channel. And his messages were absolutely fantastic. So A.D. Watson ended up writing all of the messages that were channeled down and publishing them. So that's where these come from. And his books were fantastic. They were lovely and they were so uplifting. And I want to read a little bit to you guys because it's yeah, this is really cool. And it has so much to do with what we've just talked about. Be serene and happy. Move cheerfully with the forces of the universe. You are part of the forces. That's important. Do not expect them, without your effort, to help you to move towards an ever-increasing and higher ideal. You are placed in a physical body in a material world by the divine to learn lessons of great moment to your soul. I see a spiritual renaissance in your soul, but you seem to be happy in assuming responsibilities, in suffering, in worrying, and in fretting. Many seem to enjoy the agonies of an erroneously regulated life. This is the disease. You are strong in mind and body only when the normal attitude of your life causes you to enjoy meeting friends and to love the world in which you live. Brothers and sisters, you make the world in which you live. You make your friends. You control and regulate your life and the attitude of your life toward the immensities of all life. The attitude of your own life can be stated categorically, and then I am finished. Review your life. Discover wherein you failed. There is a great informing agency in every life. You require little time for contemplation in order to know. I have told you how to eliminate the negativity. Have something more worthy to move in, and be compassionate. So really, really, really great. Jan wants to know where you can buy A.D. Watson's books. Amazon is currently the only place that sells them because they're all reprints. These are all from the late 1800s, early 1900s. So Amazon is the best place to get them. I will put the links up on Entity Seeker for you guys. His 2 books were called Birth Through Death, The Ethics of the 20th Plane, and the other one was called The 20th Plane. So I will put the links up for you guys so you can check them out because they are really fantastic and the messages are absolutely brilliant, and coincide with a lot of current current teachings as well, which actually brings me to the process that I'm going to offer to you guys. So last night, I had a fantastic conversation with one of my best friends and philosopher, Patricia, and I wanted to pass this to you guys as well because I think this is so brilliant, and I found I was having aha moments left, right, and center with this. The process that I'm going to ask you guys to try out if you want is asking yourself when you decide on what you want to do. If you decide on a dream, if you decide on a something that you want going forward, ask yourself, what you are you asking from? Are you asking from the you that existed as a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a you that was experiencing trauma at the time? Or are you asking from your current powerful place of now? Are you asking from the place of where you are currently, where you are empowered, where you know how to move forward towards what you want, where you're taking into account all your resources? Are you asking from your now, or are you asking from a place of pain and trauma? Because oftentimes, and what we discovered last night, which is really cool, is the fact that we were asking, or some of our asks were actually coming from a place of dysfunction. They were coming from an old place where we didn't have the things that we had now. So one of the things that you guys might want to journal about, if you've got your journals, if you don't, there are some really cool journals now available on the Entity Seeker page, by the way. Ask yourself, where are you asking from? Are you doing it from your present, current, powerful now? Or is it coming from something less than that? Because when it's coming from less than that, oftentimes we kind of put a cap on what it is that we want and what it is we're really asking for, and then we're kind of disappointed in what we end up getting. So I think it's really important to start examining, where are we asking from? Are we asking from a place of power, or are we asking from a place of pain? So something to journal about and think about, and of course it's going to be personal for everybody. Cyril is asking, does it exist in French? I have no idea. That is something you will have to look up on Amazon. I don't know. These are reprints, actually, of the books. So if you actually check out the letters, the size of the letters and stuff, it's like it was photocopied from the original text. So I don't know if they've ever been translated or not. I have no idea. Good question, though. So to send you guys off with something really neat to do today, and it relates into everything that we've been chatting about. Okay, so this is really neat, and this is a webinar that I hope you guys want to take advantage of because it's cool. The Seth Educational Institute is doing a 4-webinar series coming up about, well, basically a lot of the things that we've been discussing. They are doing it. It's like a session on emotional responses to COVID-19, underlying like spiritual and psychological and social causes of epidemics, using the concept to create your reality, all sorts of really cool stuff. If you guys don't know Seth, definitely check it out. Okay, so Seth was very similar to Louis Benjamin, who we just talked about, was a intelligence that was channeled by Jane Roberts. And it's a really, really great base of information and knowledge. So this is the Seth Educational Institute, and I am going to post the link to this online. It's totally free to sign up. It starts on April the 15th, so that's pretty awesome. So we're going to be able to like log in and check it out. I'm definitely going to be attending. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to go for 4 days. It's going to go, I believe it's April 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, and May the 6th. So sort of one a week until we get through the 4. And I think it's gonna be super cool. So definitely make sure you've got your pen and paper handy. And as I say, I will post a link to this on the Entity Seeker page so you guys can sign up. And as I say, it's free, which is fabulous. So for those of you guys who are new as well, I just want to remind everybody that all of these classes, all of the spiritual health care, is my bracelet copper? Yes, it is, Jan. Jan's asking, is my bracelet copper? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was handmade, actually, this one. All of the spiritual healthcare classes, you guys, are on YouTube now, okay? So every time we do one, these will be put on YouTube right afterwards. So subscribe and check it out. So the YouTube address is youtube.com/entityseeker, and you'll be able to subscribe and you'll see like all of the days. And there's some of my presentations and shows and stuff like that on there too. But all of these are going there, so please share them and let people know that they can come here every morning, because we do this every morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So please get the word out, let people know, because it's just it's a great discussion to do this every day. So that being said, our affirmations. Everybody take a breath. It is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I only have to gently, eventually, release this illness. It doesn't matter how it got started, because it's reversing its course right now. There is no hurry for any of this. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. My cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and Source is answering those requests. I'm in very good hands. My only work is to relax and breathe, and I can do that easily. Everyone take a breath. Thank you guys so much for another wonderful morning of spiritual health care. And we will be doing this again, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Mountain Time. As I say, please share, with as many people as you can, because I want people to be able to have a place to go. Jan asked, did I write these affirmations, or are they in a book? They are modified from some affirmations that I've found over the time period that I've been doing this. Some of them have come from, hold on. Some of them has come from Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. Okay, and others are ones that I've found myself have just been very impactful, and they've made a big difference for me. So they're kind of a mix. They're kind of a blend of a bunch of different things. I hope they're helping everybody, because I think being able to step into our day in that right energy and that right mindset, I think is just so important to be able to do that. So I always try to end with that, because I think being able to step into our world and go and create, from that state of connection and health is so important right now. And use the affirmations. Like if you've got to go grocery shopping or something like that, use them before you go out, because it really does make a difference in how we're perceiving what's happening. So anyway, guys, thank you thank you again. You guys have been so amazing and so supportive with all of this, and coming every day, and it means so much to me. So thank you all so much. Please send in your questions, because this is how we build these, right? We like you guys being a part of this and this part of this community. Please send your questions in. I love it so much. And it's just, I love it. Just, yeah, send them, tweet me, send them to me on Facebook, whatever. I will get to them, and we will address them all in spiritual healthcare, either tomorrow or the next day, or whatever. So thank you guys again, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning right here, Spiritual Healthcare, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Bye, guys.